2 weeks ago, Chase
22nd
Elliott
career
won
win
at
round.
Martinsville.
Winning
First win
Martinsville.
of 2026. Ended Hendrick Motorsports drought. Ended Chevrolet's drought. The crowd went insane. But here's what nobody's talking about. The last time Chase Elliott won back-to-back races 6 years ago, he won a championship 3 months later. This Sunday, he's back on track, at a place he's never won. And what the numbers say about his chances is going to change how you watch this race. Here's why. If you missed what happened at Martinsville on March 29th, stop scrolling, because this is the win that reshaped the entire 2026 Cup Series championship picture. And I promise you, what Elliott pulled off that afternoon tells you everything about what's coming at Bristol. Here's the setup. Denny Hamlin, 7-time Martinsville winner, absolutely owned the Cookout 400. He led 292 of 400 laps. He swept Stage 1. He swept Stage 2. At one point, he was leading by 3 full seconds. The grandfather clock was basically engraved with his name. And then Chase Elliott's crew chief, Alan Gustafson, did something brilliant. They short-pitted him on lap 261 to steal track position. Elliott took the lead for good after a restart with 68 laps remaining, and he held off Hamlin by 0.565 seconds to the checkered flag. That's his 22nd career Cup win, according to NASCAR.com's driver page. And it was the first Hendrick Motorsports win and the first Chevrolet win of the entire 2026 season. Hamlin's quote after the race, reported by NASCAR.com, says it all. There are some races that get away from you in your career, and this was certainly one of them. But here's what the critics said. And this is important, because it sets up everything that's happening this weekend. They said, okay, Martinsville is Elliott's place. His average finish there is elite. He was due. Wait until he gets to Bristol, a track where he has 15 starts and 0 wins. Then we'll see if the momentum is real. Fair enough. So let's actually look at the numbers. 2026 Food City 500. Sunday, April 12th. Bristol Motor Speedway. And the results on paper for Chase Elliott here are complicated. Because on one hand, Elliott has never, and I mean never, won a points-paying Cup race at Bristol in 15 career starts. Per Racing America's pre-race coverage, 0 wins. That's 15 tries at one of the most iconic tracks in the sport, with nothing to show for it on his trophy shelf. But there's a huge but, and this is the part everyone is missing. According to Jayski's statistical advance for the 2026 Food City 500, Chase Elliott leads every single active Cup Series driver in average starting position at Bristol Motor Speedway. 7.800 over those 15 starts. Nobody else is close. That means when Bristol qualifying happens, Elliott is almost always in the top 10 before the green flag drops. That's not the profile of a bad Bristol driver. That's the profile of a driver who runs up front at Bristol constantly and just hasn't converted. And he's had 2 runner-up finishes at Bristol in 2022 and 2024 per Racing America. Second place twice, a track record level qualifying lap in April 2019 at 131.713 miles per hour that still stands, per Jayski. Oh, and the one win he does have at Bristol? The 2020 NASCAR All-Star race, the night he led 60 of 140 laps and walked away with $1 million, according to Hendrick Motorsports' own stat breakdown. So this Elliott can't win at Bristol narrative isn't really a weakness. It's a trap door waiting to open. 15 starts, front row speed, 2 seconds, an all-star win. All of that is pent-up potential. And here's the thing about pent-up potential in NASCAR. When it finally breaks, it breaks loud. Now here's where this story gets really interesting. Per Toby Christie's Bristol entry list breakdown for the 2026 Food City 500. The last time Elliott went back-to-back was at Martinsville and Phoenix in fall 2020, which led to a NASCAR Cup Series championship. Read that sentence again. The last time Chase Elliott won consecutive Cup Series races wasn't last year. It wasn't 2023, it was fall 2020. The exact run that carried him to his first and only Cup Series title. Martinsville, then Phoenix, then the trophy. That is 6 full years ago. 6 years of wins scattered one at a time. 6 years of being the sport's 8-time most popular driver, per NASCAR.com's driver page, but never stringing two together. This weekend at Bristol is his first real chance in 6 years to relive the exact sequence that made him champion. And look at the form he's bringing into it. In his most recent race, he beat the most dominant Martinsville driver of his generation, using a brilliant strategy call and a restart he had to nail. In his most recent Bristol appearance, he was in the mix at the front. His team, Hendrick Motorsports, is the all-time winningest organization in NASCAR, with 31 total wins at Martinsville alone after that race, per NASCAR.com. His crew chief, Alan Gustafson, just outmaneuvered Hamlin's crew chief in real time. The car is fast. The pit calls are working. The confidence is back. And here's the detail from Jayski that should grab you. Elliott made his very first Cup Series start at Martinsville, exactly 11 years to the day before his 2026 Martinsville win. In his post-race interview quoted by NASCAR.com, he said, "It was definitely a team effort. How about that? That was awesome." That's not a driver riding a lucky break. That's a driver who just remembered what winning feels like and wants it again immediately. Now here's the part that should make every other championship contender in the garage nervous. And if you've been waiting for the punchline of this video, this is it. After 7 races, per Heavy Sports and Pro Football Network's post-Martinsville standings breakdown, the Cup Series points race looks like this. Tyler Reddick leads with 353 points. Ryan Blaney is second at 271. Denny Hamlin is third at 259. And Chase Elliott is fourth at 249, just 104 points off the lead. That's from Racing America's standings coverage on March 29th. 4 races ago, Elliott was 5th and winless. Today, he's 4th, he has a win, and he's trending in a direction nobody expected this fast. So here's the math. If Elliott wins Bristol on Sunday, he gets 55-plus points under the new Chase format. Combined with stage points, that's potentially a 60-point swing in a single afternoon. Reddick's lead of 82 over Blaney suddenly feels much thinner when you remember that Elliott is right behind them and running the kind of form where wins become contagious. More importantly, Elliott is now locked into the chase via his Martinsville victory. He doesn't need points to make the playoffs anymore. Everything from here is positioning for seeding and for momentum. And that's exactly what happened in 2020. Elliott went on a tear late in the regular season, carried it through the playoffs, and finished the job at Phoenix. Per Hendrick Motorsports' own 2020 breakdown, during that 10-race playoff run, he earned 404 points, collected 110 stage points, and had an average finishing position of 8.8. That is championship-level execution. And the seeds of that run started with consecutive wins. So the scenario that should scare the garage is this. Elliott wins at Bristol. He goes to Talladega 2 weeks later on a 2-race heater, then Texas, then Kansas, then the All-Star race, where he already owns one Bristol All-Star trophy. Before anyone realizes what's happening, the quietest contender in the 2026 field is suddenly the hottest driver in the sport heading into the summer stretch. And remember the number: Hendrick Motorsports, 31 wins at Martinsville. Chevrolet's first win of the year finally came. When the floodgates open at Hendrick, they tend to open wide. So here's what I want you to think about, and I mean really think about it. 6 years ago, Chase Elliott won at Martinsville, then won the next week, then won a championship. 2 weeks ago, Chase Elliott won at Martinsville again. On Sunday, he goes to Bristol, a track where he's led all active drivers in average starting position for 15 straight attempts, where he owns an all-star win, where he has 2 runner-up finishes and 0 points paying victories. Every single statistical indicator says this driver is overdue in the loudest way possible. Is Chase Elliott going to win the Food City 500? I don't know. Kyle Larson is the defending race winner and led 411 of 500 laps here a year ago, per Racing America. Denny Hamlin has 37 Bristol starts and is coming off a gut-punch loss, per Jayski. Kyle Busch is the active Bristol wins leader with 9, per that same statistical advance. This race is stacked. But ask yourself this: if Elliott grabs his first ever Bristol trophy on Sunday, back-to-back 6 years later, carrying the exact same Martinsville into the next race momentum that once built him a championship, what's the ceiling on the rest of his 2026 season? Because nobody knows. And that's what makes this Bristol race terrifying for the guys trying to catch Tyler Reddick. Drop your prediction in the comments. I want to hear it. Like this video if you think Elliott makes it back-to-back. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you Sunday.